So recently there's been all of this talk about the Black Shores and the version 1.3 update. And obviously that's to be expected. It's a very, very big update with a ton of important story and also a ton of important characters. But this update actually managed to distract us from one of the major things that a lot of people were talking about, a couple months prior, which is the PS5 version of Wuthering Waves. Now, if you know, on this channel, I like to talk a lot about the PS5 version and pretty much give you updates on whenever it's coming and just to give you a general idea of what we can see, coming to the PlayStation version. But it seems like after a few events and also after this Black Shores update, we've gotten a little bit further in predicting whenever the Wuthering Waves PS5 version is going to release and whether it's even going to be this year. So in this video, we're going to be going through everything you need to know about the PS5 version, where it's kind of featured in events and stuff, and also talking to you a little bit about the Tokyo Game Show where Wuthering Waves actually appeared, to get to the bottom of when is this PS5 version actually coming out. But before I get into this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy it, and also go over to Game Subs, use my code KAZO and get yourself 10% off a ton of cups and tubs. They got a new event going on at the moment, which is really, really cool. It's a new AFK flavor, which I think is absolutely amazing. I really like AFK. I've tried it a few times. It pretty much helps you get to sleep and stuff. And yeah, they've got a new flavor coming out of it with a ton of merch with it as well. So I definitely recommend going to go check that out and use my code KAZO where you can get yourself 10% off all of it. But let's get back into the video. So as I said, the first kind of announcement of the Wuthering Waves PS5 version was this post from Wuthering Waves on the 23rd of July 2024. Now, obviously, that is a couple of months ago. You would expect there would be some kind of progress on this so far. And obviously the overall kind of reception for this was great. We've got like Styx, Cherry, Narashiers, so many people saying congratulations, it's about time, I can't wait for this to come out. And I definitely think this is going to be a very positive thing for Wuthering Waves. PS5 is going to open a lot of doors for a lot of new players to come over to the game because not everyone has a PC or a phone that is good enough to run Wuthering Waves. And I think the PlayStation is kind of like a universal console, universal thing that a lot of people have anyways. It's also going to draw in a lot of people who may not be necessarily interested in Wuthering Waves and gacha games, but just more interested in the fact that it's a free game on the PlayStation Store, which will, entice them to give it a try, which again, could introduce some new people into the community. And that is the main reason why a lot of people are very excited for this. Obviously, this won't reflect or anything on the revenue chart or something like that, but obviously that is made up of mobile sales, but people are just happy that Wuthering Waves is able to get a little bit more revenue in, even if it's not visible by the community. And I think that's just great because again, we've got all of these sources of income that no one really talks about. We've got PC and we've got some other sources as well, which no one talks about and is kind of like in the background, but it is really, really beneficial for Kuro Games and Wuthering Waves. And well, a lot of people, including me, speculated that, the PS5 version was going to come out sometime soon. Obviously, we're in October now, so we would expect it to be, somewhat finished, maybe near completion. And that's why a lot of us thought that it was coming to Tokyo Game Show 2024. Tokyo Game Show actually went on a couple of days ago. It finished on the 29th of September. There was a ton of creators there. I saw, Ryuku was there. Braxophone, Gacha. There was tons of games there too, not just Wuthering Waves. There was other games like Neverness to Everness, which is a very exciting new gacha game, as well as like Arknight's Enfield and some other gacha games that are coming out in the future. But people thought that the Tokyo Game Show would be the perfect opportunity for them to announce the PS5 version, but it just ended up never coming, which again is kind of disappointing to see, but it could point at a bigger reason why. Another event that people also speculated that Wuthering Waves was going to be at was the State of Play event, which pretty much PlayStation hold every now and again. But they announced a lot of new games coming, even if they are like already existing ones that are just being ported over to the PlayStation, like Wuthering Waves. And they just announced it all on a big, like a live stream event thingy, which again is great. But we didn't see any sign of Wuthering Waves there either. And we thought maybe, it would time up perfectly. We got State of Play and Tokyo Game Show around the same time. Maybe that's the perfect time for them to announce the PlayStation version. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And we could be waiting a little bit longer until Wuthering Waves comes out. And the big reason why a lot of people thought that they were going to announce the Wuthering Waves PlayStation version at Tokyo Game Show was because of a bit of information which pretty much showed Wuthering Waves' participation at the Tokyo Game Show, where they actually listed the PlayStation 5 version as one of the first versions in the list of, what versions they're on, which kind of hints that they're trying to do a little bit of advertising for the PlayStation version, but that doesn't seem to be the case whenever people actually turned up to the booth. As you can see here, Wuthering Waves actually put out a trailer which pretty much showed off a ton of their really cool stuff. Obviously, they had some really cool statues of the Inferno Rider, the Crownless and stuff like that, which again, I think is great. And they also had a ton of like other playing experiences with a ton of PCs. Now, I talked to Ryuku about this to find out if there's any kind of PlayStation version or something that they were testing at the event, and he told me that there was nothing there. So again, this is someone who actually went to Tokyo Game Show, tried out some of the, games and stuff, including like Neverness to Everness and things like that. Went around with like Brax and Gacha Smack and people like that. And he says that there was no sign of any kind of PlayStation stuff apart from a PlayStation controller which was actually included in the setup for the PC, because they had lots of PC setups with mouse and keyboard, but also the option for a PlayStation controller, which could point out that they're trying to experiment with a lot of the PlayStation controls and trying to improve it a lot more, and hoping that people would pick up the controller more. But obviously, a lot of people came to the event expecting to see, you know, some kind of update with the PlayStation or controller version. And they've also been making a lot of changes with the controller whenever it comes to the mobile as well. They've actually added support for controller on the mobile, which I think is great. It's going to entice a lot of players to come over on mobile, because again, mobile controls are kind of like, you know, tacky. It's really hard to control. And using a controller like separate will help them out a lot, especially if, you know, you can even run the game in the first place, which I think is great. Yeah, pretty much Ryuku said that there was nothing that was announced for the PlayStation version of Wuthering Waves, which is a little bit disappointing, as a lot of people expected there to be something. And even he said, I was sure they were going to announce something at Tokyo Game Show, but there was nothing. And again, that is very disappointing to see, but it does seem like they are trying to make some changes with the controllers, especially recently. Obviously, the Black Shores update, as I said, the controller support for the mobile, and adding controllers to this whole Tokyo Game Show booth probably means that they are gearing up to kind of, you know, get into some kind of testing for the PlayStation version, if not just fully release it, because it has been a little bit of a while. Now, obviously, here are some like pictures that they actually had from the overall, you know, event of Wuthering Waves. I really wish I could have gone. It looks really, really great. They had a ton of different stuff. Obviously, they had the really cool statues of the Crownless and the Inferno Rider and some other characters, I think it was as well. They also had the setups, as I said, with the PCs where people can try out the game, which I think a lot of games actually had. Like, I think Neverness to Everness also had one where you could try out the game and stuff. And I think that's what most games have, just so you can try it out, because, you know, it is kind of like a games expo. And they also had a ton of like really unique stuff as well, like cosplayers, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, we don't really see them. There's also, I'm guessing they are part of the team. I'm not sure who these guys are, but again, that's very cool to see. And yeah, they just had a ton of really interesting people and a ton of really interesting events going on. You can see there is a ton of people in the crowd here. Very exciting to see. You know, there is a very, very big fan base for Wuthering Waves, and especially people that will turn up at the booth and, you know, kind of give it a go. So again, you can even see in the comments just above my head, someone's even asking for PS5 here, which again, I think is very disappointing, and hopefully we can see a PS5 version coming out soon. I don't know exactly when the next kind of big event would be where they could announce it, but the thing is, it wouldn't surprise me if Wuthering Waves or Kuro Games actually, you know, announce this just off the cuff, you know? They just do it on their Twitter one day, and that's about it, and it's up. Like, that's something that Kuro Games usually do, is they just kind of announce really big things and just kind of act like it's not that big of a deal. But again, I definitely do think that we're going to see it soon, because there has been a lot of developments with the controllers, but there hasn't actually been any new information coming from Tokyo Game Show, which a lot of us thought was going to happen. As for other versions, as I said, we're probably not going to see any kind of other versions of the game coming out anytime soon, especially not within the next year or so. As I said in the past, Nintendo Switch and Nintendo aren't very fond of Chinese games. They probably won't pick up Wuthering Waves, even if it's free, even if you know, they charge such a low price. They probably won't pick it up anyways. That's why Genshin Impact is having such a large issue, you know, with getting it on Nintendo. Obviously, with Xbox, maybe we can see it coming to that very, very soon. I'm not sure. They haven't announced anything to do with that. And maybe this can kind of kickstart it. Maybe they're kind of experimenting with the PlayStation version first, so that they can then go and put it on the Xbox. We've seen with Genshin that they've actually put it on Xbox very, very recently. So it seems like, you know, Microsoft and Xbox are very open to adding gacha games onto their stores, which is very exciting to see, and hopefully we can see Wuthering Waves kind of jumping on that as well, because again, it gives us another source of revenue. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Are you guys going to be playing the PS5 version whenever it comes out, or no? Because again, I think it's going to be a very cool version that's going to help out a lot of people, but I probably won't be playing it on PlayStation just because, you know, I've got a PC, it's just easier, and I definitely think the controls are much nicer on the keyboard. But obviously a lot of people also enjoy the kind of controller feel and, you know, playing with controller instead, which I totally get, and I think that a lot of people are going to be very excited for it whenever it does drop. But that's about all I got for this video. If you did enjoy it, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. As I said, go over to GamerSubs, use my code, get that new stuff that's going on the event, and also go over to my Twitch. I've got a ton of really cool streams going on there at the moment. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.